Sides next to her. What's the first letter? Yeah. No. Taslim. Tamina. And then Sophia. Tahsin. Your name? Amir. Where are you from?
Lebanon.
What course are you studying?
Computer science.
First year?
First year.
Degree or master's or PhD?
Undergrad.
Anybody from, are we recording it? Just hang on a minute before let me say things like بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ويتعلم التعليم والتذكر والتذكير ونفع الانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة ودعوة للهدى والدلالة على خير وحفظ المسلمين بكتاب الله والسجود رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سبحان الله الحمد لله لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum, first and foremost. Jazakum Allah khair for returning. I know today you were told the classes are back on, but for those who were in the first semester, you knew that today was the day, to say it several times, the 6th, which is the day. Inshallah, we will return. Alhamdulillah, Allah gives us tawfiq to return. Today's lecture is a recap of everything we've kind of done last semester. It's a revision, and also it serves as an opportunity for you guys to digest what we did in the last semester and have an opportunity to ask questions. I kind of worded things a bit differently, added a few things, stressed a few things that I think is useful. But I'm aware that we did get a lot of things done in the first semester. And then I'm going to explain to you what it is, inshallah, we're going to be doing in the remaining 6 lectures that we have. That's 6 lectures, inshallah. Allah allows us to live that long. I mean, you've got a few more weeks more in terms of academic studies, just that the classes that I'm able to do are 6. Did anybody over the holidays kind of look at the stuff that we covered, or had pondered over it, or digested certain things, thought about certain things, dare I say debated, or you probably were debated by other people, should you bring certain things up? Did anybody over the holidays have that experience? Here or abroad? Here or abroad? That is one person. Seriously. Well, you will be, should you talk about this topic, inshallah. Bismillah. Alright, Hassan.
Lectures developed in response to the many questions.
This mistakes are how much? Yes, our mistakes.
Students' understanding of their faith, who to take from, and the confusion that currently exists when trying to learn one's faith in the modern age.
So this is the reason why I chose to do this particular topic rather than the other topics, and there's a great deal of topics that I could speak about, but I chose to speak about this particular issue due to the repetitive questions that I was getting quite frequently on the same topic, the same issue. And I realized that and that was before lockdown. After lockdown, there's a lot more now, confusion. I think more people are confused now than before lockdown. That's, one of the unintended consequences of lockdown is that many people spend time trying to discover or rediscover their faith, and they were left to what was available online. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's a great deal of ugliness out there.
Based over 20 years of research and study, as well as my own journey and experience in the field of da'wah as an imam of a community, a prison chaplain, and as university chaplain.
So the first semester is basically a summary of my own kind of research and studying, as well as my own journey to get to where I am today. My experience in the field of da'wah as an imam of a community, also working within the prisons, and also working now amongst yourselves, serving the students on campus. All of this kind of fed towards what I've given you and my own kind of conclusions. So it's not something overnight. It's like it's probably more than 20 years in reality. From the age of 17, I was kind of started looking at this. And from the age of 17 to now, so it's about, I'm 44, so it's 44 minus Muhammad, mathematician. 44 minus 17 is what? 27. So it's 27 years.
Aim is to simplify the chaos. Question 1. How has Islam been understood, preserved, and transmitted by the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of our history?
I've highlighted these points in red. I've highlighted these points in red. Because for me, some 27 years ago, this question really, once I understood the question I was trying to answer, it made life very simple. But half the problem is trying to understand what question do I ask. And this is the question I realized I really haven't changed it. It's still 27 years later. This question, once you understand this question, you're able then to answer. And a great deal of confusion that we currently are faced with will disappear very quickly. But that question is a very precise question, and the words in red are being picked specifically with a particular purpose. How has Islam been understood? That's number one. And then preserved. How has this religion been preserved? Has this religion been preserved? And then, how has it been transmitted? The transmission. It's a very important question. But that question, if it was to stop there, would not give you the whole answer. Because what's important is the following part. By the vast majority of scholars, for the vast majority of our history, that question, once you answer that question, then the world and the chaos and the confusion and all these things that are online, and this mosque and that group and this sheikh and that sheikh, and all these different things that people come and say, will be simplified very quickly. Alright? It bothers me how children, forgive me for saying, we are some of you are children. I'm 27 years older than some of you guys, and some of you guys are trying to argue with me. I'm like, God, you guys were even alive when I was looking at the subject. How is it any? But there we go, that's the age we live in. That's the lack of tarbiyah that we are faced with. And in this age of entitlements, everyone's entitled to their view. But there we go, inshallah. As we had. This is a very important question. And I spent 9 weeks answering that question, if you remember rightly. Okay? Why this question? Hassan.
To find the answers that we seek, we need to look back at our own history. There we will find the answers we seek.
So, we're going to look at this from a historical perspective. Right? I'm not giving you my own opinions. And I haven't. I've given you history. And mashallah, when we looked at it, history speaks for itself. And I've said to you, you can go to Oxford University, or Cambridge University, or Harvard University in the West, and ask any professor, Muslim or non-Muslim, of Islamic history, and they will tell you the same thing that I've been talking about for the past 9 weeks. Alright? No different. And my challenge is to prove you wrong. And no one has. Nobody has. I'm open to being challenged. And everything I've told you before, anything that I've said, and the same questions that I'm going to put to you later, inshallah, that if you can try to challenge, I'm open. Nobody has, nobody will. Because for 27 years, I still can't find another answer other than what I've given you. If there wasn't given to you.
Why? Because our faith has been beautifully and meticulously divinely preserved by Allah. By looking at how Islam has been understood, preserved, and then transmitted is a logical place to start.
Do you agree? Do you, or you think? Do you agree? Who doesn't agree? Okay.
For accuracy and to avoid error and controversy, we are focusing on what the vast majority of scholars have said, as opposed to a minority of scholars, for the vast majority of our history, as opposed to certain periods that are not representative.
Ali, why? Why am I focusing on the vast majority of scholars, as opposed to a minority of scholars? And why am I focusing on the vast majority of our history, rather than a very specific time?
Specific time, you could have external influences that affect that opinion at the time.
Such as, do you remember? Certain sects were a lot more dominant in certain parts of our history, like the Mu'tazilite sect, which we spoke about in the first semester. Very dominant, the political power was behind it, and that was it. That was the normative Islam in that particular age. Step out of that particular time frame, and you see something, you see it for what it is. It was a sect, nothing more, nothing less. Confined to the books of Aqidah when you study it, and that was it. Nobody, the Mu'tazila sect is kind of, some people have certain views, but as an institution, has political power, has oomph, it's gone. All these sects will disappear over time before us. Okay, what about the vast majority of our history?
Scholars. I think I started with
Actually, I did the word out. Getting confused. Said, why am I focusing on the vast majority of scholars? Why don't I just focus on 1 or 2 scholars from the 6th century, or the 7th century, or 5 scholars from the last 80 years?
Because it's very unlikely that the vast majority of scholars who are all learned would have gotten it wrong. So it's more likely that they are all correct and the minority were incorrect.
Yeah, makes sense, right? It makes sense. Question?
I just want to ask.
Absolutely.
Basically, like, isn't it a hadith by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam about like if you follow the majority, they tend to be the correct opinion as well?
Hold it right there, Mary, right?
Yeah.
There you go. طب ما تقرأ سورة مريم. There you go. ما شاء الله. اسمع المسمى. هاي read.
The Quran says in Surah Maryam, surely we have revealed a remembrance, and surely we shall preserve it. The Messenger of Allah said, my ummah will not come to agree about manifest error, misguidance.
So where I'm going with this is that the question I've kind of formulated over many years is based on Quranic verses and hadith that suggest that this deen will be preserved and that the vast majority of scholars, if they come to agree on something, then that is a proof for us. And that in other words, Allah's preservation of this deen. You understand? And this is the scriptural proof of that. My ummah will not come to agree about manifest error or misguidance.
The hand of God is with the majority, so follow the Allah, the greatest number.
Again, I put it in red. The greatest number.
Anas bin Malik said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say, my ummah will never agree on manifest error, misguidance. So if you see different opinions, stick with the Saudi Allah, the greatest number.
Do Do you and I see a great deal of difference of opinion online, within our mosques, at home, in our ISOCs, to be honest, on our campuses, everywhere? You see a great deal of different opinions, this one saying this one saying that. What the Prophet ﷺ said, what did he say?
My ummah will never agree on manifest error and misguidance.
Right.
So if you see differences of opinion, stick with the greatest number.
Stick with the greatest number. Ya ayyuha al-ISOC. Oh, you who are in ISOC committees and part of ISOC and part of mosque and part of it. Stick with the greatest number. Okay? Stick what? With the greatest number. And you're not here having the last of Allah. Alright? Did you explain things? I have. At the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala been asking. Allah's blessed me to know certain things, not much, but a little bit. I'm passing it on. Do with it as you please. In front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll do it. I'll pass it on. Allah mashhad. Allah deal with this. Some will understand, some will not. That's not my problem. Sayyidina Nuh spent 950 years doing da'wah, had a handful of people. Results are not, if everyone gets it or no one gets it, everyone rejects it, everyone accepts it, that's not my problem. I'm just passing it on. This is what the deen says, this is what I've learned. If you want to take it, I understand. If you disagree with it, what you want. But I haven't seen anything saying to the opposite. That's my own research. You're free to do with what you want to do. But again, I'm responsible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's been asking. And in the day I don't know. Whether people like it or don't like it, it's not my issue. It's just customers' deen. Continue on.
What form did this preservation take? What did it look like? My ummah scholars will not come to agree about manifest error and misguidance. Historically, the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of time cannot all agree on something that is wrong.
This is a very, very uncomfortable reality for some people. This right here is uncomfortable for people. People try to run away from it. When faced with history and facts, this is very difficult for people. And people who are faced with this reality are in a very difficult situation. They either have to say that the vast majority of scholars were all wrong, and they'll come and they'll say, well, yeah, look, no one's perfect, people have mistakes. That's a kind of the polite way. Those who are a bit more rough, they'll say they're all wrong. They're all wrong. That's a massive statement. When people say that all these scholars were wrong for 1,000 years, what does that say about Allah's promise to preserve the deen? What does it say? What does it say about your opinion of Allah? Allah left this deen for 1,000 years not be preserved. But for 1,000 years, the ulama got it all wrong. And I don't subscribe to that deen, I'm sorry. Wherever that deen is, I don't subscribe to that. That's not the deen I know. Okay? But that's why I'm asking certain questions to get you to think. This is what, when you choose to move away from orthodoxy, this is what you're faced with. It's very uncomfortable. But, life's about uncomfortable situations.
Otherwise, Allah's promise to preserve this deen has not been fulfilled, which is absurd.
Do you understand that point? Clear? We'll have questions at the end, inshallah. A bit more time.
Question. The Prophet ﷺ has told us that if we see differences in opinion, and we do, then we should stick with the greatest number, meaning the scholars. Who are they?
So who are they? We're going to stick to the greatest number, right? This one says it's wrong, this one says haram, this one says you can't do this, he's not kada, he's not representative, and she's doing this. And we stick with the greatest number. The Prophet did not leave us in the dark. Stick with the greatest number. So the question now is, who are the greatest number? Who are they? Well, the Sahaba. From a historical perspective, whose understanding of the Sahaba are we following? That was a rhetorical question. Many of them find it. Good. Okay, so the Jibril Hadith, which we're not going to go through, because we spent 9 weeks going through it. But the Jibril Hadith is, I spent 9 weeks breaking it down from a historical perspective, and we came to certain conclusions, such as, Bismillah, Allah's wisdom has promised that He will preserve His deen. This can be easily seen through history, by what the vast majority of scholars, for the vast majority of time, have followed.
The level of Islam has been preserved and conveyed to us by the Imams of Sharia, for sacred law and its terrorists and madhab schools of law. The level of Iman by the Imams of Aqidah and tenets of faith, Ash'aris, Maturidis, and those amongst the Ahl Hadith who do taqweed. The level of Ihsan, to worship Allah as though you say, by the Imams of Tazkiyah.
Putting it simply, here's a summary.
3 dimensions of our deen: Islam, Shahada, 5 prayers, Zakah, fasting, and Hajj. Iman, believe in Allah, His angels, the scriptures, the messengers, the last day, destiny. Ihsan, to worship Allah as if you see Him, and if you cannot, then know that He sees you.
That's a Jibril Hadith. And when we look at it from a historical perspective, from a scholarly perspective, this is what we find. Islam has been preserved by the 4 madhab. There were other schools, but these are the 4 main ones that kind of survived and had the greatest success and following and scrutiny. Iman, Aqid, Ash'ari, Maturidiyya, and the Tafweed and Hadith, which we spoke about last semester, people in the back, and Ihsan to souls. Alright, again, refer back to semester 1 because we did all that there. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, famous phrase that we heard banded around all over the place. And when you ask people, what does it mean? What's the definition according to scholars? You're going to get everything under the sun and over the sun.
It's a term used to designate anybody of Sunni Orthodox Muslims and their beliefs.
So look, I am not talking about any other tradition other than the Sunni tradition. Yes, I know on campus there's other traditions of Muslims. And I said to you, they're Muslim. Never have I said that certain sects are kafir. Never. Alright, Mr. I'm not inclusive enough. Please listen. I've never said that. Okay? But they can't say that. They can't say that. They can't, because me, I am a non-Muslim for some people on campus. That's the reality. Certain Islamic institutions here would at the very least, I'm a deviant. Let them be kind on a good day. Just inclusivity.
Came into use to distinguish between other sects that exist within the tradition of Islam.
So this term, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is a technical term used to differentiate and distinguish Sunni Muslims from non-Sunni Muslims. Again, Sunni Muslims from non-Sunni Muslims. It's the Muslim.
As many people use this term to claim authority and a right to be followed by the masses, it's important to see what the actual definition is, as set by our scholars to avoid confusion.
Alright, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Hands up, what does it mean? What's the definition? Ahl Sunnah, ask the sisters. Sophia. What's the definition? Oh, is it? Ali, you put the microphone. How do you the microphone? Pass it on. I'll put it on as well. You're on. Muslims that follow the Orthodox Sunnah. Alright? Everyone's going to, no one's going to say we are not, though we don't follow Sunnah. You're never going to find any Muslim that says I don't follow Sunnah. Everyone's going to follow Sunnah. So what's the definition? Well, give me a working definition. I mean, if you don't know the way, just try to pick your brains. What's the definition? Give me a precise definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What does it mean? 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 dua. What do you think Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is? If you don't know, don't worry.
I could take an educated guess.
Which is better than most for the moment. Go ahead.
Ahl means family, so I guess the group that believe in Sunnah.
Right. How is that going to distinguish? Let's say we've got all these people in the room. Some of them are more closely following the Prophet than others. This term, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, distinguishes those who follow the Prophet more closely than others. Everyone's going to say, I follow the Prophet. Everyone's going to say, I follow the Quran and Sunnah. No one's never going to say that. But what is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? Have you heard this term before?
Yeah.
Batted around all day, every day. Alright? So, when you hear Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah,
Yes.
what does it mean?
It seems it's the followers of the four Ramadan.
Yeah. But what does it's how do you know about it?
Sorry?
How did you know about it?
Because I studied Islamic in Dubai.
What did you study?
Huh?
What did you study?
It was part of our curriculum, so that's why I know.
In Dubai. What madhab did you guys study? Maliki?
Yeah, in UAE, the curriculum is based on Malik.
That's good. Good to know. Good to know. طيب أهل السنة والجماعة. Alright. Defined as Hassan.
Those that follow one of the four Sunni schools of fiqh, the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali schools. One of these schools of Aqidah, namely the Ash'aris, Maturidis, and the non-anthropomorphists of the Athari, Ahl
And you
Hadith.
have to say the غير مجسمة because people today claim to be Athari or Hanbali or whatever it is and they're مجسمة. We've spent last semester talking about that. And
Those that follow a path of Ihsan, the Tasawwuf that is grounded in the Quran and Sunnah.
either you follow it or you accept the validity of Tasawwuf. That's the historical, that's taken from the Shafi'i school. Ibn Hajar al-Haythami, in the Shafi'i school, that's his definition. So that's the fatwa in the Shafi'i school. What is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah according to the Shafi'is? Oh, you who claim to be a Shafi'i, wink, wink. This is the definition of what Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is. Okay?
This has been what the vast majority of Muslims for the vast majority of time have followed. This is attested to by history and endorsed by the Al-Azhar and Al-Qarawiyun University, the oldest Sunni Islamic universities in the world.
So the oldest Islamic universities in the world, Azhar, Qarawiyun, in Morocco, other places. In Yemen, Pakistan, India, and UAE, and other places where Turkey, for example, so on and so forth. That's the definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The historical definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What do you notice about it? It's very accent. It's encompassing. It's wide. It's broad. Right? As opposed to we follow the Quran and Sunnah, which is very simplistic. And it is very simplistic. But people who say that in this day and age, what they're referring to, the Quran and Sunnah according to my Sheikh, or the Quran and Sunnah according to Sheikh so-and-so, Ibn so-and-so of the 7th century, or 5 or 6 scholars from a certain part of the world who've all passed away in the past 8 years. That's what Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is to certain people. But historically, that's what it is. So Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, this is what it is. Okay? This is not Zane trying to brainwash people. This is historical fact. You studied, yeah, this is anything new here that you haven't heard in the Emirates?
I mean, they didn't study about the Aqidah and the
Well, in terms of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, there's nothing new there.
Yeah,
There's nothing, that's anyone who studied Islam in any depth, even if you've done micro-medicine, doing micro-medicine, those who studied, it's in the books. It's just that, people don't know it. Alright, timeline. We've got the 4 Imams there. They are from the Salaf. So following the 4 Imams and the schools, you're from the Salaf. Yes, because they are Salafi Imams. Al-Ash'ari, or the founder, Al-Ash'ari and the Maturidi. Again, these are all Salaf scholars from the first 2 generations. Bismillah. Bismillah.
When we look at the great scholars of Islam that the Ummah have agreed on, who have been the transmitters, carriers of this faith throughout the centuries, whom without we would not understand Islam, Hadith, Tafsir, Fiqh, Aqidah. It's difficult to find one that wasn't. A follower of the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, or Hanbali school of fiqh, or is not an Ashari, Maturidi, or Athari, Ahl Hadith in Aqidah, or has not been a follower or practitioner of the Tasawwuf.
That's a fact. Whether people choose to believe it or not, whether people choose to accept it or not, whether people choose to do whatever they want with it, that's not my problem. This is fact. This is history. جهل من جهل وعرف من عرف. We'll leave that another time.
Can anyone prove that the vast majority of Sunni Muslims for the vast majority of time have not been followers of one of the four schools of fiqh?
That challenge remains from now until you die. Inshallah, after many, many years of obedience to Allah. That challenge from now to the day you die. You come back, if I'm still alive, and you can prove otherwise, you contact me. My number will probably still be the same number.
All followers of one of the Ashari Maturidi schools in Aqidah.
I specifically mentioned Asha'ira and Al-Maturidi. Specifically, I didn't mention Ahl Hadith. I have to make a point there. A lot of scholars called Ash'ari and Al-Maturidi. A lot of scholars.
Or a practitioner, follower, except of Ihsan, as known as by the science of the Tasawwuf.
So look, people who are listening, or if you want to kind of put that out as like a challenge to people who don't agree with you, I think that's a good place to start. Give that to people and say, look, can you go and research, because this is what I've been taught. Should you believe me, hopefully. But let me go and do some research. Like, that's outside of TikTok or Instagram. Let people go and research. And ask people these questions if you're paying attention. Ask people these questions. They look, go and find me something different. And see what they come up with. The beauty of that is that you didn't get them to understand that the world is a lot more complicated than what they previously thought it was. Alright, Bismillah.
Historically, sects and groups that deviated from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah were people of Bid'ah, still considered Muslim.
Still considered Muslim. I'm not takfir.
Some became so extreme in their Bid'ah that they left Islam, while a great number still remain Muslim but not Ahl Sunnah. Anyone who doesn't conform to the definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah cannot claim that they are, and their claim rejected. Follow this and know that you are in the majority, as the Prophet instructed us, simplifying the chaos dramatically for anyone.
Okay. Alright, my famous diagram. In that, again, this is not new, it's revision. We're going to sort of with this, by the way. We're going to see where it goes. The blue sphere are Muslims. All Muslims. Highly conservative, ultra liberal, non-practicing, practicing, محجبة, غير محجبة, منقبة, غير منقبة, beard, no beard, committed, not committed, that's all Muslims in that circle. Alright? And we don't judge anybody, for those who don't know. Within that circle, we have another circle called Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Those who closely follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, according to the definition I've given you. Alright? Everybody within the green circle is Muslim, and everybody outside within the blue is still Muslim. But I'm not considered Sunni Orthodox, but they're still Muslim. Alright? طيب. The blue circle and the green circle all share some common denominator, which is Shahada, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And they acknowledge facing the Qibla, and they pray 5 times a day, and they eat halal food. That is taken from a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all Muslim. So in our prayer room, with all the multiple different traditions, when I'm doing the khutbah, and I see all the different traditions, alright, some mainstream, some not mainstream, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome to you all. Alright? And I can see them all. Literally, where people pray, I know which method this individual is, I know which method that individual is, I know which sect that person, and ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to you all. Okay? Again, for those who think I'm not inclusive. MashaAllah. على كل حال. But there's a third group that's missing, and that is the non-Muslims who are outside. And that's not our focus, but we will just this semester we'll touch a bit on that as well. Not every Muslim is not a Sunni Orthodox, but every Sunni Orthodox is a Muslim. Play this minute. Alright, let's see. Let me take a minute. Well, I'm going to go to question 2. What? How to, now, this is very important for those in positions of responsibility, i.e., ISOCs, imams, and any person who is responsible for other people's understanding of Islam. This part is very important. Okay? Especially ISOCs. Okay, future ISOCs. How to recognize who is an author. And the problem with this, those who need to hear this are not even here. This is a real pain for me. They're not even here. People who need to hear this the most are not here. على كل حال بدور عني ولا الآية. That's what I'm doing. How to recognize who is an authority and who is not when it comes to Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. Everyone follows someone. You all follow someone. Don't tell me I follow the Quran and the Sunnah. You don't. You follow somebody else's interpretation of the Quran and the Sunnah. You have to ask a scholar, because you're not a scholar. And even those who are scholars will follow scholars themselves in their books. But are they qualified? Whoever it is you're following, is he or she qualified? What makes them so, and how do you judge? Again, this is repetition. We'll go through it quickly, inshallah.
Bukhari relates the Sahih, universally authenticated hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Truly Allah does not give you sacred knowledge by taking it out of servants, but rather by taking back the souls of Islamic scholars in death until when he has not left a single scholar. The people take the ignorant as leaders, who are asked for and who give Islamic legal opinion without knowledge, misguided and misguiding."
I see this all the time. Right? Whether it's Instagram or TikTok or in mosques, for example, I see this all the time. And more so after lockdown. Alright? More so after lockdown. Okay? It's a sign of the end of time. That people are taking ignorant people for their Islamic knowledge. It's a sign. And the Prophet said this is what's going to happen, and it's happening. Alright? You are living in a generation, in a time when this is happening right before your very eyes. Alright? You can argue that what I'm trying to do is trying to slow it down. Allah's decree. Allah's decree is that.
The process described by the hadith is not yet completed, but has certainly begun. In our times, the lack of traditional scholars, whether in Islamic law, in hadith, in tafsir, has given rise to an understanding of the religion that is far from scholarly and sometimes far from the truth. Many use social media as a platform to do so, e.g. TikTok.
Do you know TikTok and Instagram, people watch these videos? Do you know you're not going to find many scholars on there, right? You know that. Like you guys know that, but people who watch it, they don't know that. It boggles me how people are learning Islam from TikTok and Instagram. It boggles me. Right? If people are bid'ah all on Instagram now. I'm honest, people who don't fit in that very generous, broad understanding of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they're the ones on TikTok, ranting and raving and talking and going, doing rounds around ice socks around this country and going to different countries and talking whatever they're doing. And people are ignorant. People are going up and soaking up and, Allah has a decree, Allah has a wisdom, ways allowing it to happen in this world. With the advent of internet, satellite channels, and widespread distribution of information in Islam, People in this age have a greater access to understanding their faith. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sisters? Dua. Actually, dua. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? All this information now.
I guess both.
Alright. Meaning?
Like you said, there's going to be a lot of ignorant, misinformed people out there now with more of a voice, but at the same time, there's also more opportunity for you to try and learn from the scholars.
If you know who they are. That's a good point. Muslims are learning their faith through TV channels, the net, social media, and modern literature. But not learning it from scholars themselves, directly. Sitting with scholars, learning from sheikhs, face to face. People are kind of forgetting that. And this has resulted in confusion with the sheer volume of different opinions. Faced with so many answers and opinions, they pick and choose what suits them. Or remain confused. And this can lead people open to manipulation, misinformation, and indoctrination. Alright. Again. Go ahead.
Can you differentiate between the following? A genuine qualified scholar, a preacher, a qualified scholar in one particular field only, someone for whom Islam is a hobby that they like writing and lecturing.
You've got 4 people. One is a genuine, or genuine, I don't want to pronounce it, qualified scholar. You don't know which one it is. And one is a preacher, person of da'wah. Preacher. Not a scholar, but a person of da'wah. Again, you don't know which one it is. The third individual is a qualified scholar in one particular field only. He is a qualified scholar, expert in fiqh. Which of these 4 people you don't know? And the 4th is someone for whom Islam is a hobby. And they like writing, lecturing, and talking. Doing tours on ice perhaps. How can you tell the difference between these 4 people? Can you tell the difference? Silence. Can you tell the difference?
Maybe for the top one.
Hands up.
Yeah. Maybe for the top one, they would have an ijaza and a sanad.
Okay, ijaza and sanad. Okay, good. We'll talk about that as well in a minute. But how are you going to know that?
If you right to it, and if you ask them.
If you ask them. Okay. So you're going to ask them. Can I ask you something? You know, most of these TikTok, I'm not going to mention names, most of these TikTok people on Instagram, can you tell that from they can't, can you? Can anybody tell? No? Does anyone even care to ask? No. But is that a problem? Alright, okay, she's mentioned Senate and Ijaza, which we'll talk about. A person of da'wah. I'm not saying any of these are wrong, by the way. A person can have Islam's a hobby. They're very committed to learning about their faith. But what I'm trying to say, there's a difference. And can you tell the difference? Practically speaking, do you have the tools to tell the difference? So no da'wah, Muhammad, a da'i, how are you going to know? This person who's talking right now, is he a scholar? Is he a person of a da'i, a da'wah, which is great? Is he a 3 or 4? Wait, how are you going to know?
Can't give a fatwa.
You can't be a fatwa. Oh, let's say he does.
Then he'd be wrong to do so. He's lying. He shouldn't be doing so.
Alright, let's say people are very slick. This is the age we live in. They won't say this is a fatwa. You ask them an Islamic question, they say, the answer is kada wa kada. Now what?
You have to ask them where they learned that information.
Do you know?
Or where they studied.
But do you? What? When was the last time you did that? Alright. Number 3, a qualified scholar in one particular field only. How are you going to tell if this guy or girl is number 3, or number 2, or number 1, number 4? I don't know. Would you have the guts to ask? Would you? You would. Hands up, hands up. Would you have the guts to ask somebody? Hands up high. Seriously, the rest don't have the guts. Why? Hands down, you guys for sure. And the girls. No, too late to see.
No, I was going to answer the question of. You asked why
wouldn't you ask?
Because nowadays, if they're on TikTok, they usually have like a big social media following, and all their information gets posted online anyway. They always have some sort of biography, so you don't need to ask them because it's already online. It already has most of their information, like where they went to study, what they studied, usually anyway.
What? So you wouldn't ask. But let's say that information wasn't there. Then what? Would you ask?
Public setting.
Obviously, you'd have a bit of an attack. Would you ask? Would you? Why wouldn't you ask somebody? Are they qualified?
I would do the same thing, to be honest, if it was public settlement.
Okay, let's say you are able to ask. Would you ask? My point is that what I'm trying to say is this: you have every right to ask the question, and you shouldn't feel shy, particularly in this age of Dajjals, in which people are talking about Islam left, right, and center. You have to now start to be a lot more careful with who you're taking your faith from. Otherwise, you're going to take a poisoned form of the faith and you can poison yourself. And many people are being poisoned and end up leaving Islam. I don't think anyway. Most just look at who appears scholarly in appearance or speech. He wears a thobe. He must be a sheikh. She's wearing abaya. She must be a sheikh. He has a long beard. He must be a sheikh. He has a beautiful voice in the Quran. He must be a sheikh. She can quote hadith. She must be a sheikh. All of that means nothing. Means nothing. There are people who are non-Muslim who can quote the hadith Quran. Some will go for governments. Alright. In fact, I was watching a movie recently. I was on the plane, there was a movie. And this guy, he was, in one scene, he was working for the army, like a soldier. And in his spare time, he had the Quran and some tafsir books, and he was kind of, being recorded, the voice of the Quran. He was making notes. It was in a movie. What's that movie called? But the point is that there we go, so people asking about the movie. I don't think the situation today is similar.
Many people who speak about Islam who are not in authority but speak as if they are.
Let's say somebody says, I'm not a scholar. Listen carefully. I'm not a scholar. I'm just going to come and give a talk about Ramadan. Alright? I said, well, what's the problem with that? Let him speak about Ramadan. We'll say, okay, no problem. But do you have opinions that are not mainstream? Because we are responsible for what we put in front of people's in front of people. If you put the wrong individual in front of people, then people are going to follow their views. They're going to go and follow their Instagram and TikTok. They've got views that are not mainstream. Do you want to facilitate that? You want to facilitate that. You take responsibility of that in your hand.
We have all sorts of people now telling us what Islam says, what doesn't say, what is halal, haram, shirk, bid'ah, what is hijab, etc. Journalists, academic preachers, speakers, and other professionals with no such little specialization in the Islamic sciences are speaking about Islam as if they were experts. They are reaching very strange, unorthodox positions and views that range from the liberal, reformist, modernist right through to the violent jihadists and everything in between. Many people take their opinions without realizing that they are not credible sources.
I believe that the vast majority of you sitting here in front of me, okay, and I'll prove it in a lecture or two, that statement there is true of the vast majority of you sitting in front of me, the vast majority. With the exception of one or two, maybe. And I'll prove to you why as we go on, if you come to the classes.
Most people have a very superficial understanding of who we should listen to regarding our faith. As a result of this, we see the mess we are in today. Where should we take our knowledge from? Whenever Allah has sent a book to guide mankind, He has also sent a messenger to explain it. This illustrates that the correct way of transmitting knowledge is through a living teacher.
Living teacher who you go and you learn from. Not you sit in your bed, listening to a TikTok video or an Instagram or whatever things you guys do. You go and you commit time, like you committed 3 or 4 or 5 years of your lives to come to university. You commit some of that time of your short life for your akhirah, and you go and learn your faith. Alright, there's no such thing as Uber Eats for Islam. You call it in the class and they give you bite-sized, understanding your faith. Alright? And eye socks now people kind of want that from eye socks. You have to raise the bar. You can't be having just few little talks here and there, and people still ignorant. At the first year of uni and the 3rd or 4th or 5th year, they're coming out with nothing. Yeah? Just many injections of feel-good Islam. And they don't know anything about wudu. They don't know how to do wudu. They don't know how to do salah. They don't know how to shower. The role of the teacher is vital in aspects of knowledge that need explanation and interpretation. You are lucky you've got me here. I'm not the best, I'm not the worst, I hope. But you've got me as a teacher here. So for those who say, we don't need a chaplain, alright? We don't need a chaplain. We can do things ourselves. How many years have you studied? How many years have you studied? Can you tell me? Can you read Arabic properly? Tell me. Do you know your fiqh? Do you know your aqidah? Have you committed 8, 9 years studying Islam day in, day out? Have you? You haven't, have you? So this idea, we don't need to speak to the chaplain or the imam. We're separate. Is that separate the church and the state? Is that secular understanding? Really? I have to ask these questions. Where does that come from? Because Allah says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge. Are you people of knowledge? No, you're not. Allah's told you to ask people of knowledge. You've got somebody who, Bismillah, I'm not the best, I'm not the worst, I'm not the people of knowledge. Ask. No, you're not. We're separate. Really? Separation of the church and the state. And then we're going to talk about bid'ah? Really? And then we're going to talk about bid'ah? That's a bit last to me. But there you go. Whose interpretation are you following? Are they qualified? How do you know they are qualified? Not everyone is intended to be a scholar. Right? You're not. And I think some of you should be. Some of you sat here after your courses, should your parents allow you to. It would make me very happy to see some of you go and spend some years studying your faith and coming back and helping the situation here in the UK and further abroad. For society to function correctly, most people have other employment. Thus, Allah orders us to ask the experts amongst them, not everybody, only the experts. So ask the people of remembrance, the scholars, the ulama, if you do not know. Isox, if you're paying attention, ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. You have somebody who can fulfill that for you. Therefore, it is vital we know who we should ask for clarification on Islamic issues. Just like one takes medicine from a doctor, history from a historian, and law from a lawyer. Everyone has their speciality, and we take knowledge from those people who have speciality. One must take Islamic knowledge from a scholar. If someone has read a lot of medical books, but never studied at a university, they're going to give medical treatment, he or she would be arrested. And rightly so, because they're killing people. The same for someone who sets himself or herself as a lawyer, having only read a few books without attending law school. That's a full stop. Who got that joke? Hands up, who got that joke? Netflix subscribes over here. Okay, keep going.
If this is the care that we take with our earthly affairs, then how much caution must we have when dealing with our eternal fate, which affects us in this life and in the next life, in the hereafter?
I'm going to pause this point here. Why do we, when it comes to our earthly things that have to do with our bodies or financial, that we go to the best people, right? That money can buy. When it comes to our health, we go to experts, right? When it comes to whatever it is to do with our worldly life, we're going to finish in a few minutes. When it comes to our worldly things, we go to experts. We don't settle for cowboys or do-it-yourself individuals. But why? When it comes to Islam, we are happy to take anybody who has a 5-minute clip and has 60,000 followers and learn to follow and listen. We're to listen to anybody. When your faith has a greater bearing and repercussions than your Qiyam. Why are we on that side? Why are we so flexible and loose that we're willing to compromise? He has that opinion, I have that opinion. I'm not a doctor. Who's a medic? Any medics? I'm not a doctor, right? You studied second year, third year? Second year. He's far more qualified than I am to speak about medicine. Alright? Do I have a right to talk about medicine in front of him? No. Am I entitled to speak about it? No. Should I be listened to? No. If I have 60,000 followers on TikTok, should I still be listened to? No, because at the end of the day, his 2 years mean more than my whole reading. But that's what I see day in and day out. All the time. That you guys are doing. That you guys are doing. Not you specifically, but you know what I mean. By simply wearing a doctor's uniform, one does not become a doctor. Similarly, merely quoting from the Quran or possessing outward piety, a thobe, a turban, a beard, and these things are sunnah. I'm not belittling the sunnah. Those you know, I wear those. You've seen me. I wear a hat, I wear a beard. But I understand that that's not the be-all and end-all. But nor should it be for you guys. There's something more deeper. Islamic sciences are a specialized field which require years of dedicated study with qualified scholars. Years with qualified scholars. It has its own sources, methodologies, and principles similar to other specialized fields. Medicine, dentistry, engineering, computer sciences, whatever you guys study. Accountancy, philosophy, psychology, has this expertise. Those that are self-taught often at times are misguided and misguided. As the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right, we're going to stop, we're going to pressure, have a break, and we're going to come back and we're going to continue, and we're going to open for Q&A, inshallah ta'ala. Amir, Adnan, please. You go.
Yeah.
That changes something. I don't know. Like, let me know when the guys are ready. We're gonna move on quickly, inshallah. Alright. What credentials should a scholar have? What should we be on the lookout for? Are we recording? Yeah? Ready? What should we be on the lookout for? What are the red flags? And an extra one here, especially for you guys, is this one. What credentials? Are you paying attention? What credentials should a guest speaker have if we seek to invite them? That's an innovation on my slides. I've innovated that. Did that happen? There we go. You know, mashallah, I asked these questions to a 14-year-old. Very intelligent boy. This is what he said. I asked him the first question, what credentials should a scholar have and what should we be on the lookout for? He said, years of knowledge. Follows a school of thought. This is a 14-year-old. Not my son. Knows the Arabic language and knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah. 14-year-old. As for what are the red flags, he said false views, someone who's a liar, someone who lacks knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah, hasn't studied for a long time, and doesn't have the Arabic language. I thought it was quite interesting for a 14-year-old. That's far more advanced than I was when I was 14. But these are some of the things that I want to answer today in what remains of the time, and then we're going to open for a Q&A. What credential should a scholar have? What should you and I be on the lookout for? What are the red flags? You know what a red flag is? What's a red flag?
Red flag.
Who said that? Put your hand up. I'm looking over here, and you're over there. Warning sign.
Yeah.
Red flags. And what credentials should a guest speaker have if we seek to invite them? You are in charge of a speaker says, I want to come and do a talk. And you say, Marhaban, ahlan wa sahlan, come and talk. And he comes and talks. And he says 9 things that are amazing and 1 thing that is wrong. He gets a share of the blame. But oh, you, who wants to get as many bums on the seat as possible, you take some of the share of the blame. Because you invited them. And they don't like to hear this, but it's the truth. I'm not going to hide Deen. I'm not going to compromise. This is our Deen. You are responsible. Because you open the door. Just like you were responsible for the right things being a door of good to open up doors of khair for people to learn, you get your reward. The opposite is also true. When you allow somebody to come and give a talk, and he has views that are, again, 9 out of 10, amazing talk, mashallah, and that one thing that goes into people's hearts, and people take that, and people run with that. You're responsible. Hence, you are in positions of authority. Don't think it's as many bums on the seats. Let's get the lecture hall packed out. Those lecture halls being packed out on Yom Al-Qiyamah ain't going to mean nothing to you on Yom Al-Qiyamah. When they come and say, that was your fault. That belief, that understanding of the deen that I took from him, that's your fault. That's your fault. And you're taking responsibility of that on Yom Al-Qiyamah. The gloves off. The gloves are off. No more messing around. What credential should a scholar have? Bismillah.
To be confident that you are receiving a proper, authentic answer to a question on Islam, one must ascertain the credentials of any speaker. We spent the last semester answering the question of how Allah has preserved this faith. A good starting point is therefore to see if the speaker follows one of the four schools of fiqh, belongs to one of the three schools of aqidah, recognizes the validity and importance of the science of Islam as exemplified by the science of tasawwuf. Don't be shy to ask these questions. This is your faith. Someone who does not criticize the above as being wrong or outside Islam is a person of without innovation.
So a good starting point to see the credentials of an individual is to apply what you've learned, what you've come to believe, what you've come to understand and accept. That the four madhahib has been aware of the great deal of the vast majority. Fact. So maybe start there. Oh Sheikh, oh speaker, or the person you want to follow on Instagram, what madhab do they follow? I asked him, what school? So I do automatically ask. No, there's no shame. And he has no shame in saying Maliki. No shame.
No, I just said the curriculum that's...
Same thing.
That's
It's,
what I myself.
it's the same thing. And you study at the Maliki school, it's the same thing. It's the same thing in the day. Okay, I'm not saying you're a scholar, you're not a scholar, I know that. But the point is that you study.
I'm not an adherent of it. Just because I said it doesn't mean I'm an adherent of it. That's all.
I know this. The point is that you ask somebody and they say, yeah, the curriculum was X, Y, and Z. And the Maliki method, mashallah, the method of Imam Malik, should not feel ashamed of saying we're before the Maliki school. But then, Imam Malik, Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Medina, should have fakr to say we're before the Maliki school, if that's true or not. I'm ashamed. I don't believe that. So the point is that's my point. That's my point. If someone follows one of the four schools, that's a good point. If they say, I don't follow any of the four schools, that's a red flag. I want to come and do a talk to your students. Okay, excellent. Do you follow a particular method? No, I don't follow any schools. Red flag. Why is that red flag? Why? Why is that red flag?
Because they're then interpreting religion for themselves.
Whose interpretation now? Look, I'm not going to talk about fiqh. I'm going to talk about being good on campus. No. Why are you silent? How are you going to talk about being good on campus without talking about the Sharia? How are you going to talk about being good on campus without talking about the Sharia? How? How are you going to live on campus without following the sacred law? And the sacred law is accomplished by who? The four madhab. So either way, it comes back to the same thing. Don't be fooled, oh foolish ones. Don't be simplistic. People are going to say, we're not going to talk about anything controversial. What are you going to talk about? Islam, according to whose interpretation? I'm going to keep it simple. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does simple here mean? Don't be messing around. These are simple kind of things that people come and say to you today, and you guys are, I'm trying to raise the benchmark for you guys, right? To elevate yourselves. Right? You can either stay as you are, be simplistic, and khalas, then you go along and not progress, or elevate yourselves and you start being people who start ask questions. Well, what is it you want to talk about Islam, but what's your qualification, what you learned, and that's what people do in most countries. That have some kind of structure, they ask these questions. The same way, if somebody wants to come and lecture at the University of Liverpool, give it your CV. They're not going to say, come and, the guy from Lodge Lane or the guy from outside the street, come and teach in the University of Liverpool. What's your credentials? And the same thing for the Aqidah. What's your school of Aqidah? If they say, well, I don't follow any school of Aqidah, that's an issue. I interpret Islam for myself. That's an issue. Anyway, listen. Keep going.
Verifying credentials of those who listen to when he or she studied.
So these are type of questions. If you want a structure, ISOCs, pay attention. If you want a structure to try and work out how to, which speakers we can invite in to give them, I would suggest this is a good place. Some of these questions are worth asking to invite guest speakers. All right. None of this says the greatest follower on TikTok or the greatest follower on Instagram. Who's inspirational as a speaker? Anybody can be an inspirational speaker. But some of these questions are perhaps a suggestion for you guys to get to vet potential speakers coming to your Islamic societies. These are some of the things I would ask you to think about. Where did he or she study? Who are their teachers? What are their qualifications? What is their field of expertise? Even if they have academic qualifications, are these combined with the study of classical texts? That means this. Someone says, I have a degree in Islamic studies from Manchester University. That's really good, inshallah. But the point is, have you studied classical texts? Why is that an issue? Because you have many academics who graduate from Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard University, but they've taken Islam without studying classical texts. And there's a big difference. A massive difference. And they'll be the first ones to tell you that, those who are sincere. That's not important. Do they understand the context and culture of the place he is issuing a ruling for? Are they currently actively practicing? Because there are many people today who aren't practicing, who can tell you about Islam. None of them are Muslim. I know people like that. They can tell you a lot of stuff about Islam, but none of them can practice it. Maybe even left Islam, dare I say. And they can tell you stuff. They probably know more about Islam than you currently do right now. And the greatest question we should be concerned with, which is what Maria mentioned, do they have a solid, unbroken chain of transmission? ISOCs pay attention, and do they have the ijazah, permission to teach, authorized, license to teach? These are simple things that Muslim countries can have already in place. So I would suggest this is a good way for you guys. This is a suggestion. If you want to do this, ahlan wa sahlan. If you don't, then you reap what you sow. Is that the correct term? So what's this concept of sanad? Bismillah, this is revision.
The concept of sanad and broken chain of transmission. One of the unique attributes of Islam and a miracle. Having a continuous and unbroken sanad chain with respect to transmission, understanding, and spiritual purification. An unbroken chain of teachers who are traced back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amongst the special features of the classical Islamical education system approach is that its sciences and knowledge disciplines are passed down and transmitted from generation to generation, which constitute a continuous and unbroken chain of religious scholars and practitioners. Every generation receives from the generation preceding it a continuous chain and an uninterrupted understanding.
Sabina, why is this an unbroken? How can you ever tell me? Why is this an unbroken chain? Why is it called unbroken? Give her the microphone. She's got it already. So the analogy of an unbroken chain means that the knowledge you are getting can be traced back through an unbroken chain, back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What's the opposite of an unbroken chain? A broken chain. Can anybody tell me what that looks like?
So basically it won't reach to the Prophet.
Yes, it doesn't reach back to the Prophet. It may go back to yourself, or the person who innovated that understanding. Be it yourself, or your Sheikh, or that person online, or the Sheikh from 4 centuries ago, or the 5 or 6 Sheikhs who lived 80 years ago, whoever it is. Right. Number 2, ijazah, Hassan.
Permission to teach.
Ijazah. This is the second thing you should look out for if you're going to invite somebody to speak Or if you want to listen to a particular scholar, then listen to them. Second, permission to teach. Some of you may say, oh, you're making it too complicated. Look, they just want to talk about Islam. They just want to, inspire people. That's great. But why can't we inspire people with people who have ijazah? Why can't we inspire people with people who have sanad? Why? When in any other field, you can ask the same thing. You wouldn't ask a wishy-washy doctor to give you medicine, or a pharmacist, or someone who's self-taught. You wouldn't. Why Islam? Why do you don't pay attention? Why are you bothered?
None of these students who follow this approach will venture to take up leading positions, except after receiving knowledge and keeping long company with scholars until they grant him permission or a formal license in transmitting, especially hadith narrations, teaching, writing, and imparting knowledge. Should you inquire from one of them as to his teachers, he will mention a number of them.
Please pay attention again. If you ask this individual, who are your teachers? He or she should mention a number of them. Beware of someone who can't tell you anything about his teachers because he or she didn't have any teachers. Red flag. That's 10 red flags. Not one, that's 10 red flags. That's self-taught. Should you ask him or her how long he or she has spent in the companies of teachers, he or she will say they have spent a long time in the company until he or she understood and comprehended from them the methodology of understanding and entries to knowledge. And if they can't, red flag. Red flag.
This is contrary to other approaches which are broken and interrupted, and in which a student will take a leading position without keeping company with the scholars.
Someone will take an opinion. Kada or kada. Or say having a particular view. Hijab is in the heart. No such thing. The Quran does not mention hijab, like this TED talk. You know it. But if you don't know it, well, there you go. Where does that come from? It goes back to that individual or the two people before them who kind of brought that innovative idea. And should you ask one of them,
how much time did he spend in the company of his teacher? He will tell you that he had only met him once, or that he has only spent a limited number of hours with him.
please, these are the type of things to ask. You who are in positions to invite speakers onto campuses or anywhere else, or even into your own houses, these are the things to look out for. Because do you know, once you start doing this, you know what starts to happen? They won't bother you anymore. They won't, I won't do talk there. Because they're being exposed. People start to realize, you know what, these guys are a bit more clever. I'll go to the other universities there to give a talk there. Because they don't ask these questions. They make it too complicated. But why can't you tell me what you studied? Why can't you tell me who your scholars are? Why can't you tell me where you come from? You just appeared from somewhere, and you're an inspirational speaker. But we're not about inspirational speakers. We're not about that. Our day is about knowledge, about moving closer to Allah. Not being inspired. And you can be inspired by people who have said and ijazah. Keep going.
How is it possible for him to obtain knowledge, and how can his understanding be trusted?
These slides welcome back. These slides will be available at the end. We're nearly finished.
Preservation in practice. Islamic scholarship has been projected for centuries from its guidance by preserving authentic knowledge through an unbroken chain of teachers, sanad back to the original authority. The science of Quran recitation, for example, the scholar would have learned from his teacher, who would learn from his teacher, and so on, until the chain of teachers would lead back to the Prophet ﷺ himself. The scholar would have direct connection through a line of teachers to the Prophet ﷺ, and ensure the Quran was recited as it was revealed.
That's how we learn our Quran in Tajweed, or we should have, inshallah.
This is why it was said regarding sanad, isnad.
Pay attention, this is a beautiful phrase. I want to memorize it. This phrase is important.
Isnam, unbroken chain of transmission, is part of the religion, and if it was not for Islam, people would have said whatever they had desired. Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak.
Isnad, an unbroken chain of transmission, is part of this religion. It's part of our deen. And if it wasn't for Isnad, people would have said whatever they desired. And that's what we have today. People are saying whatever they want, to whoever they feel they can. And people listen to it. Because people have no quality assurances. People are not have the benchmark with no. لولا الإسناد is part of the deen. ولولا الإسناد لقال من قال ما شاء. People would have said whatever they desired. That's what we see. Imam Malik, Muslims throughout history have shown extreme caution regarding Islamic knowledge. Extreme caution. Extreme caution. We learn from the Sahaba that when asked a question, they would prefer others to answer due to the possibility that they may give an incorrect answer for which they would be held accountable by Allah. And they're far over and above that doing anyway. This is the way of the early generations. Imam Malik in one gathering was asked many questions by a particular Imam that had traveled a great distance. Imam Malik answered the majority of those questions like, I don't know. Let him be. No shame to that. Fear of Allah and a deep accountability before Allah. Taqwa. Alright, quality assurance. Bismillah. Nearly finished.
Due to the danger and harm which unqualified scholarship can cause to normal citizens, the head of the Muslim state had the power to ban and punish these unqualified scholars. Today we have an absence of such a body that oversees this, especially in the West.
We don't have a body that censors, alright, TikTok sheikhs, quote unquote, or imams, or khatibs, or speakers. We have nobody in this country that can make sure that what they're saying is correct. And that's why you and I have to be very careful, because there's no quality assurances. That's why we've got to go a step further and ask questions. When people want to come and speak on campus, because we have nobody that can work out are these people the real deal or not, you guys have to be the heads of the state, the Islamic state. I don't understand you. But essentially, you guys have to be acting as states. Yeah. With adab, with akhlaq, and tact. Unqualified people are free to say whatever they want, even if it is wrong, while feeling entitled to. And again, something we see all the time, and I hear it all the time. This is interesting. This has allowed two extreme groups to emerge that would have been controlled in the past, or managed in the past. The two extremes, what are they? Ultra-conservatives, Bismillah.
Rigid, intolerant, and clearly declaring other Muslims who don't follow their understanding as non-Muslims, deviants.
I am seeing that on campus now. I'm seeing it. A lot more now. Before lockdown, I didn't see much of it. Now I'm seeing more of it. Which is concerning for me. Actually, concerning for you. Because it's concerning for the university.
Ultra-liberal.
Less concerning, anyway.
Refer to themselves as progressive, modernist, reformists who want to change everything and anything according to whims, desires, and the political mood and trend at the time. They engage in making the haram lawful and the lawful haram.
These are the two extremes that we have right now. These extremes, and there's various colours in each. Each has a different spectrum. Some are more extreme than others. Some are more middle than others, but both are extreme. These are the two groups that will compete with each other for your hearts and minds. Whether they are speakers who want to come on campus, whether they're imams in mosques, whether they are TikTok sheikhs, celebrity sheikhs, or whatever it is. These are the two extremes you're going to get. The middle is rare. There are. But they're sat in their teachings. They're teaching books and studying. They're not having time to waste on these platforms that most of the youth are on. We should tell you something. But we have these two extremes. I'm oversimplifying it, but the point is getting across. I have some questions I'll ask soon that will be very revealing, but there are two sides of the same coin. Both approaches, ultra-liberal or ultra-conservative. Everything is halal, everything is haram. Everyone's going to heaven, everyone's going to hell. There are approaches at reinterpreting the faith. They then begin attacking Muslims who follow mainstream Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah as backwards. You're wearing hijab, you're backwards. You're out of touch. You're not in touch with the age we're living in. You're no longer relevant, you're irrelevant. You're stuck in the age of the past. Or you're a kafir. You're a kafir, mubtada', you're a mushrik, you're an innovator, you're a great worshipper. They're the kind of things you get labeled. In reality, both approaches are shaped by what? Their personal desires, whims, and political mood at the time of what is acceptable and what is not. Listen to what Allah says in the Quran. This is fascinating. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about these two mindsets? Hassan.
Have you not seen the one who makes his own desires as his God, and Allah has thereupon let go astray?
They made their own desires God. So therefore Allah has done what? Gone astray. They want to reinterpret the faith according to the whatever agenda is out there, or whatever they want, or whatever the whims are. That's causing them to go astray. Here's the question. Read it.
What do both approaches share in common in their attempts to reinterpret Islam? What similarities do they both share?
Who can answer this question? Hands up. We'll go for ladies first. Right. What do both approaches, ultra-liberal and ultra-conservative? And look, if you want to follow either or, can you follow? It's a feeling that you can't follow. You can't follow either, to be honest. It's up to you. Anyway, what do both approaches share in common in their attempts to reinterpret Islam? What similarities do they both share? Maryam.
Well,
How are you next?
I think with what you said before about they are politically geared, I would say that they are both similar in that they align themselves with Islam, Sahaba, and Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They might start to basically
Compromise?
Sorry?
Compromise?
Yeah, they subscribe to like particular political movements or political ideologies that are non-conform to Islam.
Alright. What else? Huh?
Instead of the Sahaba, the case of maybe.
Okay. Muhammad?
They both don't respect scholars.
Yes. They both approaches do not respect scholars. That's it. More specifically, what have they done? Ultra-liberal, who's kind of said, forget hijab, and takfiri, everyone's a kafir, and go and kill people in jihad and all that. What are they doing? They both have no respect for scholars, which has allowed them to do what? What have they done with our tradition? Yes, yeah, they have. By doing what? Yes, something else. You're all right. What have they both done? That's true. But their approach, what do they both share in common?
Outside of the there, like being the middle ground.
True. But something else, something very specific. What have they done to our tradition?
They're not tradition.
Meaning, Yes, you get closer. What have they done? What are they doing? What are they not doing? Which means no, it's clear. Not Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What's Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah? The former so both, I've got that here. Both approaches, the liberal, hijab in the heart, niqab is on it, there's no such thing as hijab in the Quran, and kada, all that type of stuff, and the jihadi, yeah, the Salafi jihadi, that's what they call, by the way, Salafi jihadi, that's what they call, ISIS, they call themselves Salafi jihadi. That extreme says that everyone's a kafir and have to kill everybody, and all the governments, the kuffar, and X, Y, both of them have said to the Sharia over here, said the aqaid over here, spirituality, they bypass the whole tradition, which allow them to reinterpret everything again. How else can a woman give a TED talk and say that in the Quran it doesn't talk about the hijab? Who are you to say that? What has she done? She's bypassed the Sharia. She's bypassed the formula there. How can someone say, people live in the UK, you've got to go kill people? What has he done? The same thing that person done. They bypassed the Sharia. They put the formula there aside. That's harsh. Reinterpret the world. Reinterpret Shahad for the modern world. Both are doing the same thing. I only realized this when I was studying in Jordan about 2 years ago. I sat with some great scholars and they said, look, both have the same approach. They both bypass our tradition and swept it aside, and that's allowed them to reinterpret everything again. And you look at the disaster in the Arab world specifically. Look at the problems, the bloodshed happening in the Arab world because of this approach. All right, Bismillah, go ahead.
When deciding between a scholar and a preacher, it is only from the scholar that we should take Islamic rulings. As for preachers, one can benefit from them in non-technical issues.
Islamic societies, pay attention to this point. This is a suggestion from somebody who has a bit of experience. Just a suggestion. You can take or leave it.
Such as encouragement to do good, but we should know their limits. This is providing that they subscribe to the definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
Have as many preachers as you want. Give as many talks as you want. But let's describe the very broad definition of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Right? Very broad. Any of the format there. Doesn't have to be one. Any of the format there. Any of the 3 schools of Aqidah. Any spirituality. Right? Broad as you can be.
If you don't, you run the course of getting confused. When unable to differentiate between genuine sources of Islamic knowledge, some have paid the price by being caught up in the 2 extreme groups. This is very common for students at university who begin to have an interest in their faith.
I see this all the time, and I keep on seeing it. You get students come to uni, mashallah, have a lot of vigor. But if it's not guided and nurtured, it can go the wrong way. Right?
Such groups try to stop their members from accessing genuine scholarship.
You will find people who say, don't take knowledge from Zane. Don't come to the classes. He will lead you astray. You'll find that on campus. Freedom of speech. اليوم القيامة مسؤول الله freedom of speech takes you. على كل حال freedom of speech. Alright? But people will say, no, don't go there. When you have your own mind, come and listen. Come and listen. I'll leave your own mind up. But come with an open heart and an open mind and be sincere. Finish. Allah guides whom He wants and misguides whom He wants. May Allah guide us all.
It is only when members eventually come into contact with genuine scholarship who can articulate clear arguments from a solid scholarly basis that they then question what they have been taught by their own groups and then they leave them.
And you live another 10 or 20 years and you'll see this. Within your own friends, within your own family, you will see this. If you live long enough, 10 years, you will see this happen. You'll see people who are on this way, and after 10 years, they come off it. because they met the right scholars. You'll see, if you haven't already done so.
Some have even gone on to exposing the distortions of their groups. Sadly, many start practicing their faith and some leave Islam.
And you will see that as well. Within your own lifetimes, you will see that, sadly.
This is why knowing your faith is vital in this day and age. Things to be cautious of. People who use the terms shirk, worship of anything besides Allah, bid'ah, secret lies, and kafir, declaring Muslims as non-Muslims loosely.
These are red flags for you guys, or girls, who are listening to people. If you hear some of these words being frequently tossed around, it's a red flag. Anyone regarding any of them does not agree with them as deviant, a disbeliever, mubtada, mushrik, grey worshipper. Those who preach hatred of non-Muslims and of other Muslims, or he or she who say, I am not inclusive. There. Those who preach hatred of non-Muslims. I do not preach hatred of non-Muslims. Never have, never will. I don't preach hatred of other Muslims. Yes, I may differ with other people's opinions when they don't allow Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, but it's that understanding that I disagree with. As for the person, they're my brother and sister in Islam, or my brother and sister in humanity. Can the same be said for them? Wallah, ask them that. Those who want division amongst Muslims, those who regard themselves as the only ones following true Islam, and with the majority of Muslims, scholars wrong. Another red flag. Those that claim that the way of the Salaf is only found in their group and their Sheikh. Their Sheikh and their small group, that's the way of the Salaf. Everybody else is wrong. People who promote not following the method in favor of following the Quran and the Sunnah as understood by the Sheikh. Who do not follow a school but advocate taking a mixing approach and taking the strongest opinion. So here, this is another thing. People who say, pick out before the strongest opinion. Like pick a mix, close your eyes and pick something out and that's it, that's the strongest opinion. Simply saying just go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. Again, red flag. Claim that the Ash'aris and the Maturidis are deviants, heretical, despite the majority of the Ummah following them. To solve is a bid'ah and has no place in Islam. These are the things that are red flags. If people say these things, my suggestion is that these are red flags. Or anything else that goes against what we have come to understand as the way of the vast majority of Muslims, the vast majority of Islamic history. Those who want to reinterpret everything to suit their views, those who criticize, argue with everyone and anyone, those who speak ill and disrespectful of the Sahaba and the family of the Prophets. Well-known scholars, especially those that are dead, will be known for their piety, knowledge, and service. Those who do not have a sanad or ijazah. All of these things, be on the lookout for, whether they are people who want to speak on campus or want to speak wherever, or you want to listen to them. These are the things they pay attention to, in my opinion. So, faith is based on knowledge, so be careful from where you take your knowledge from. Taking knowledge from unqualified sources can and are having devastating results in our faith lives. ISOCs, and a lot of ISOCs mentioned today. ISOCs and people responsible for teaching Muslims should be extra wary, as they are responsible for the decisions they make in front of Allah. God's responsible. Just like I'm responsible. Who do you take the knowledge from? Right. We'll end on this slide. Hassan, ready?
Given that we now know that the vast majority of Muslims for the vast majority of time have followed one of the four madhabs, followed Ash'ari, Maturidi, and Aqidah, and Tasawwuf, leaving a handful of innovative sects that have no.
That's the Muslim.
Do we find this to be the case amongst our family, friends, communities, mosques, universities, online, TikTok, Instagram, TV, Islamic bookshops?
Given that we now have been convinced that the vast majority of Muslims, the vast majority of time, have followed one of the four madhab, have followed the Ash'aris and the Maturidis in Aqidah, And in the soul, spirituality, there's a recognition and or a following of the soul. Do you find that to be the case amongst your families, friends, communities, mosques, universities, online, TikTok, so on and so forth? You tell me. Hands up. Is that what you find? Or do you find the opposite? Who finds that what's been mentioned in the first paragraph here, that that is not the case for the vast majority of people that you know? Hands up. Hi. I've got my hand up as well. Right? You don't find that to be the case when it comes to what's online. You don't find it to be the case amongst family members, mosques, icebox, phones. Like somebody said to me recently, if you're saying the vast majority of people for the vast majority of time you're following these kind of things, how come on my phone I don't see that? You're laughing, you're happy, you're not laughing. In Arabic, I would describe al-mudhik al-mubki. Yeah? Which means what? Things that make you laugh and make you cry. Somebody says that. Al-mudhik al-mubki. There's a statement that should make you laugh, or should make you cry. Somebody can say that. I don't find it to be the case on my phone, on my Instagram, or my TikTok feed. Wallah, I didn't know somebody said to me. Somebody said that to me. What are you going to do with that? Oh, you simpleton. When you check one video on your Instagram, there's a thing, I don't know what it's called, you know better than me, that once you look at one video, it sends other videos similar. So if you watch one particular sheikh of a particular way, you're going to start finding other sheikhs on your feed. It's like I'm watching KFC videos, and all of a sudden, the next 5 days, I'm inundated with KFC videos. And well, McDonald's, all this is KFC, nothing else exists. It should make you laugh. It should make you laugh. Because someone like that deserves to laugh. Stupidity I've got to deal with that. Really, that's why I get content classes. So I have to spend an hour of my evening or 2 hours of my week sitting down talking to you when you couldn't come here. Well, now I'm going to spend time. There we go, wasting my time for some people. Sure, it's not a waste of time. Anyway, it's frustrating. Is that the case? It's not the case. That's the reality. It's not the case. But if that's not the case, if not, then what is it they are following? And more importantly, and this is where I wanted to get tonight, what has caused this to be the case? What has happened in our recent history when we no longer know what the vast majority of scholars are on? We no longer know that madhahib are correct. We no longer know anything about the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. We no longer know anything about spirituality. In fact, we're told all that is wrong. What the hell has happened? What has caused to be the case? Are you paying attention? Because this is the question, this is the key to the next semester's talks. Why is that not the case? Why on our campuses, that's not the case? Why in some of our masajid, that's not the case? Why in our families, that's not the case? What has happened? And that's where we end. Simplifying the chaos, looking at the factors that hasn't been.
Looking at the factors that shape our understanding of Islam in the contemporary world, semester 2.
This is what we're going to be talking about. Why is it now that we're having to explain what is mainstream Islam? When your great-grandparents didn't need to have that. They knew what was mainstream Islam. They were Hanafi, Maliki, or Shafi'i. They knew about Aqaid. They weren't anthropomorphic. Like I mentioned about 7 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago, we mentioned about the sect that had Tajsim anthropomorphic views. And I said to you, and I was like, 1,200 years ago, and I said to you guys, hands up, how many people come across this now? You all put 80% or 90% of you put your hands up. How has a view from 1,200 years ago re-emerged now? They've all come across it. These are questions that have to be answered. And I'm going to answer it for you in the remaining weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Different topics, things you've never heard before. And that's what we'll look at the factors that shape our understanding of Islam in the contemporary world. Why do you have people now criticizing the former then? When that wasn't the case. Why do you have people now saying the Ash'aris and the Maturidis are deviants? That wasn't the case. Why do we have to now start to defend tasawwuf, spirituality? Well, that wasn't the case. But what has made it the case now? That's what you and I are going to explore in the remaining weeks. Inshallah ta'ala. Okay? Okay. So a long time, that's where we're going. Inshallah. Any questions?
When you talked about the ultra-liberals, for example, those who say, for example, that the hijab is not compulsory, but at the same time when they're talking, they're using, for their argument, they're bringing about like knowledge from certified scholars. They're saying that this is my basis for my argument, and their basis for their argument is valid, and hence I need this argument. So why is it wrong, for example, when they preach and they give such ideas?
This goes back, Maryam, thank you for coming. By the way, look, Afwan. The sisters, if you need to go, you can go to this late. I'm going to pause you and let them ask the same thing. I have to go. You guys want to ask? You guys need to go. You want to ask a question? Ask now. Davina, I asked you a question. You need to go home. Probably.
In relation to what you said before about, you know how people are taking information and it's hard knowledge from people on TikTok or Instagram. Do you not think that, say, like scholars have recently been qualified or had the, like, you know how you've been qualified? But do you not think that it would be beneficial? Because from our generation, it's very different from our parents' generation. And also, we have the opportunity to come to courses like this. There are people that don't. Do you not think that qualified scholars could tackle and target, like, young people within social media?
I agree. I agree up to a point. The thing what you're going to have is that you've got these people who've spent 8-9 years of their life studying Islam. What course are you doing? Psychology, right? Same as. It's like me saying to you, as a psychologist, you've got all these fake psychologists. And they probably are in reality now, because these kind of self-help people, not psychologists. But it's like, how do you compete with them when you can't compete with a 5-minute clip video. You see? You can't. There's only so much you can do, right? I do agree with that, yes, scholars need to come down, but the reality is that these scholars are teaching people, they're producing scholars, they're not sat on TikTok on their phones, they're sat with like, 80 people in front of them, and they're producing scholars, men and women. That's what I've seen. Right? And these scholars go on and teach other people. Some scholars are now starting to kind of go on social media. But there's only so much you can do on social media because Islam is not bite-sized. That's something for your generation that you've got to kind of raise yourselves and say, you can't then fit in a 5-minute video. You can't.
Do you not think how obviously it's changing now, obviously in our children's generation as well? Because it's become like social media and things like that. Do you not think like scholars should now tackle the way in which our future children are going to learn Islamic knowledge?
What do you think I'm doing with you guys? That's what I'm doing right now. Because if we keep on going on this route, you know what's going to happen? It's already happened. People leaving Islam. You know why? It's because a 5-minute video on TikTok is not going to answer my deep theological questions. An Instagram speaker or whatever is not going to help me understand why do I have a crisis in my faith? Why am I not feeling Iman? Why is my Iman low? Like, for example, one famous Sheikh in America, what's his name? And he was saying, he was talking about Ihsan. He said, Ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see Him. Great! That's something we all know. How do we do that? He went on to say, I'm just praying, doing a lot of acts of ibadah, and having taqwa of Allah, and then you're able to reach the ihsan to worship Allah. So what happens is that people who don't want, sound bites, that's not enough. I want to feel spirituality. I want to feel ruhaniyya. You saying just pray a bit more, yeah, and have taqwa of Allah is not going to cut it. Why? Because it's a lot deeper than that. Why? Because tasawwuf, spirituality, is a subject that deals with that. There's a whole science. You're going to have a sheikh, and there's a bunch of knowledge behind it. It's a whole lifelong thing of doing that. And so this individual is very famous, has watered down spirituality, and hasn't really provided anything worthwhile for people. Which then leaves the individual thinking, Islam has no spirituality. It doesn't make sense. Because I'm praying and I can't see Allah. I'm doing having taqwa. What does that mean? How do I do that? Practice, just pray more, fast more? No, it doesn't. It's not enough. It's more complicated than that. But because the individual has no grounding in traditional Islam, specifically spirituality and tasawwuf, ilm al-nafs, and muhasabah, and the sickness of the heart, he's trying to explain how you get to that without telling you how to do the root. It's like saying, prayer, zakat, and fasting. We're all talking about the madhahib. The madhahib, sharia, tell you how to pray and fast. So my point is that people then become disheartened and leave Islam. Islam has no spirituality. I've seen that. It has nothing. Because these people have watered it down. Again, bypassing our deen and has watered it down. And that's my fear. My fear is that in your generation and the generation after, people will leave Islam. Because it's not providing anything. 10 years of listening to a 5-minute clip of video, now what? I'm still the same person I was 10 years ago. I still feel down. I'm still depressed. I'm still have no yaqeen. I'm still feeling, I don't feel no closeness. I don't know Allah. Because these videos, these sheikhs, can't do it. Reality, because they haven't done it. They haven't done it themselves. How are they going to get you to do it if they haven't done it themselves? Because they haven't done that route. They bypass. Our faith is deep. And you have to sit with deep individuals. The Sahaba wouldn't change, still wouldn't change overnight, so lifelong transformations. Umar ibn Khattab, the whole lifetime of change. It doesn't work like that. Again, you want the highest levels of Jannah, you're not going to get up a TikTok video. 5-minute clips, you have to commit to the deen. There are people here who committed, their Saturdays to the deen. I committed 8-9 years of my life to this deen. I did a little bit, just a lot more. Allah accept. But one point is, yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, the deen is vast. And you've got to raise yourself. And as the ice hockey, raise the bar. Don't people say, well, all the ice hocks have. Some of those ice hocks have a low standard. That's not your standard, raise your standards. Being an Islamic society that inspires people to go be scholars of this deen, men and women. People who are, there's a crisis in Ummah. Who's going to stand up and do something about it? I agree with you, but I don't agree with it at the same time. Because the bar is just higher. Inshallah. I may change my view over time. But at the moment, that's what I'm at. Anything else from assistants you think if you need to go? The problem there is that those quote-unquote scholars who he or she is quoting do not have a celeb ijazah. We're back to square one. That people who are going to quote scholars, well, this scholar said that there's no such thing as hijab in the Quran. Then where's your celeb? Where's your ijazah? Where have you learned? Where have you studied?
They say, for example, that the verse which talks about the zina, they say that some scholars, for example, they excluded hair out of the zina. Or, for example, they might say that al-khimar that is mentioned in the Quran, if you look at, for example, Listan al-Arab or al-Rajal al-Wajiz, then you'll find that it means a piece of fabric and not, it doesn't mean like, what do you call it, like, the hair color.
Right. What we say to that question there, right, is what I've mentioned today. Who can answer that question? That people are quoting some scholars who say that have a non-majority view.
Follow the majority of the scholars.
Follow the majority. That opinion that there's no such thing as hijab or whatever in the Quran, is that the majority view? It cuts the ijma' of the scholars. You are welcome to follow that. Is it valid? No, it's not. It's an opinion, okay. Is it a valid opinion? No, it's not. What's the valid opinion? What we know. People want to choose that? Okay. You're going to find this. I can find a scholar who can say to you that killing people is permissible. Wallah, I know people. I've sat with people in prison who can call me this view and this and that. Forget people. Some of them come and say, in the Quran it says, kill them wherever you find them. You don't even need a scholar now. Allah says in the Quran, kill them wherever you find them. He's not even saying, he's not even quoting Sheikh, he's quoting Allah. Allah says in the Quran, kill them wherever you find them. Now what?
Professor, is there a difference from taking a verse out of its context and then compared to, for example, keeping a verse within its context, but just read it in a different way, or for example, taking, for example, certain definitions or like certain, opinions, like as I said, like the scholar who said that zina doesn't include, for example, hair.
Again,
I'm not arguing by that.
But again, the answer doesn't change. Is that opinion, that tafsir, in line with the vast majority? No, it's not. Why isn't it? Who's right, who's wrong? Are all of them wrong? And he's right? Why not? People can interpret things as they want. Do they have the credentials? Let's look at the scholars themselves.
No, the people who are saying that they don't have the credentials.
The people who they're quoting from.
Yeah, they do.
Like, let's look at the people. Where have they studied? What's their expertise? Who are their teachers? Who are their scholars? Have they ijazah? Have they sanad? They have no ijazah, have no sanad. They might have graduated from an Islamic university, but what's their expertise? And I told you before the example of Hassan of this particular Sheikh that was in Cardiff, okay, who was giving fatwa and saying this is kufr, this is bid'ah, this is shirk. And I asked myself a question. And he studied from Azhar University. Azhar, mashallah. Azhar. And when I asked somebody, where in Azhar, what department did he graduate from? What was his expertise? What did we find out? Arabic language. Seriously, Arabic language. And he's making takfir and talking about Sharia. His expertise in Arabic language. Stick to Arabic language. Do some good there. And quoting the Shafi'i scholars saying, and the Shafi'i madhab said this is kufr, this is shirk. And the Shafi'i scholars don't say that. Right? But there you go. So that's, we look back at Sanad and Ijazah, we found these imams, where they studied. And there's agendas. There's people, there are think tanks, financing. There are hands that are unseen behind the scenes that are financing and promoting these things because it's an agenda, because you are a target. have been, and will continue to be so. Aywa?
If qualified scholars aren't as visible, how do you go about finding them and learning?
This tonight's class should now give you an idea of how to find them. First and foremost, be sincere to Allah. Ya Allah, I want to know you. I want to become closer to you. I want to learn this thing correctly. That's number one. When you're sincere, Allah will open your eyes and you'll see. Doors will open up. Allah will always open hearts and minds who are sincere. Those who aren't sincere, their hearts and minds are closed. And I've seen that as well. That's sincere. You won't see it. You look at the greatest scholar of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah sat in the mosque in Liverpool, for example, or come to give a talk, and these people would never go. And I've seen that. One of my teachers came to Liverpool 20 years ago. 25 years ago. Came to a mosque here. And a particular individual said, I'm not going to go over there, I'm not going to learn from him. He's got nothing to teach me. Those who didn't take that opinion went, and that talk transformed their lives. And that Sheikh transformed their lives. And I'm one of them, inshallah. As for the arrogant one, to this day, he's still the same, confused, angry, disillusioned, and there's no nur on his face. That's all I can tell. But you know, to be sincere, Allah opens up. Just be sincere. Stop. Be sincere. Allah will show you His friends. Allah will show you the spiritual inheritors. They're there. Men and women. Men and women. And then put into practice what I've just told you. Sanad, Ijazah, what's their background, what they study fiqh, what madhab, in aqidah, spirituality. Don't interrogate. Don't interrogate them. Well, you don't have to ask the right things.
Suppose that there's an imam or somebody of knowledge and they recognize the significance of the four madhahib and the three madhabs of aqidah, and they recognize the importance of Islam and so on. However, when they preach Islam or when they teach people, they don't teach from that viewpoint. So, for example, there are some people that when they reference the madhahib, so they'll get a question on fiqh and they'll say, oh, there's a difference of opinion among scholars. So they won't say it depends on madhab you follow. They'll say, oh, there's a difference of opinion, right? Is that in and of itself?
I'm confused.
So, for example, there can be an individual that recognizes the significance. If you ask them,
Yeah, I get all that, but what are they doing?
so, for example, if somebody asks a fiqh question, they'll say, rather than saying it depends what madhab you follow, they'll say, oh, there's a difference of opinion among scholars, right? And
What's wrong with that?
in the sense that they don't really, they don't promote the idea of sticking to a madhab. They sort of just say, oh, there's a difference of opinion. Giving up the vibe that sticking to one madhab is not significant. If that makes sense.
You have to ask them that. What the reason is, I can't speak for why. Maybe a wisdom of audience in front of them, maybe people who this concept was new, have taken 3 months now getting to this point. So we can, we have double the size of the audience, right? Now it's kind of reduced, which is always the case. But what I had, the audience, I don't know, really a particular reason of wisdom. I can't really tell.
That makes sense. And another question is that what justifies close knowledge now? Because for me, I've heard the idea of Sunni Islam, but I've never heard the justification of why we should follow Sunni Islam as opposed to other interpretations that ideally try to follow the Prophet. So
I'm confused.
So, for example, why Sunni Islam?
As opposed to.
I suppose, for example, that there's Shia Islam. So, why should we follow Orthodox Sunni Islam?
Well, look, you can choose to follow whatever you want to follow. Sunni Orthodoxy will say that that is the closest thing to the way the Prophet says. And they will justify that by saying that the deen has been preserved If you differs opinion on the vast majority have been followers of one of the four schools, follows Ash'ari school and Maturidi school, and adhere to some kind of form of spiritual. So that's the vast majority, and that's what Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is. That's ipso facto. Does that make any sense? Anything over here? Next question? You got a hand up?
No.
Hold on.
So I just have a question regarding, like you said, to follow the majority opinion and the minority opinion. For example, with many
What did you understand by that?
I was going to give the example. So, for example, when countries, when they were trying to set up their personal status law, the law which governs marriage and the divorce and custody and stuff like that, many of them, they went with the minority opinion because some people in the Hanafi school say that a marriage contract is valid without taking, if a bride does not take the permission of her male guardian. While most of the other schools of thought, the Malikis and Shafi'is and the Hanbalis, they say that no, a marriage contract is not valid if the bride does not if the bride does not get the permission from And also, for example, when they say, for example, the Maliki school, I think is the school that says that you can have a marriage without witnesses, but then you have to do ishhar. But then other schools will say that you need to have two male witnesses. But then many people are taking the minority opinion, they're not taking the majority opinion.
Excellent. All right, to the question. I've always said follow the majority. And he's saying that, and you just like to say in countries, they'll take this opinion in this school over other opinions. To say the Hanafi school says has this opinion and another three, which is not the majority opinion. When I say we follow the vast majority, I don't mean in the furu' in specific fiqh issues. You can follow any madhab you want. A government can pick any school it wants to follow, for example, right? What I'm saying about the vast majority is not in specific details, but in the general theme of that we follow a school. Whichever one was for, pick whichever one you want. We follow one of those schools. As opposed to the nitty-gritty details of which kind of for the usul, for the furu' in the asl. The general thing is that we follow the school. As for the difference of opinion, that's a rahmah. The difference of opinion is a list. So when I say we follow the majority, it's not in specific details, it's different. But it's in a general approach of following the school. Next question? No, now you're hand up. Muhammad, you okay? You have to catch a train.
I did.
Okay.
I was overhearing a conversation. It was about madhabs.
Overhearing a conversation. Was it in our progress?
No. It was that social thing. But basically, what it was is so they were talking about how you should follow madhab, but it was about like since we've progressed since then. So, like for example, you mentioned in the previous lesson, in the previous lectures, Imam Abu Hanifa would take three, you listen to three opinions to see if it was valid or not. And I'm sure Shafi'is, Hanbalis, and Malikis, for example, they all do takbir whenever they go into ruku. Yeah. Hanafis don't do that.
Okay.
But since we've passed that time now, we now know that the Prophet ﷺ used to do that, but Hanafis don't. So the point of that conversation was like, do we still need to listen to a specific madhab even though we've gathered all this evidence?
Question. A lot of these things can be answered by asking another question. The premise, the assumption is what here? Only if you try to scrape. What they're saying is that the Hanafis have no proof for not raising their hands. That's what they're trying to say. When you cut through all the crap, right, get down to the bottom of it, what they're saying is outlandish. What they're saying is that the Hanafi school have no proof for raising their hands.
That was just an example I made up.
No, it's a good example. It has the point. But the basis of the argument, the assumption Raising arms is proof. The Hanafis hold that the Sunnah is not, therefore they have no proof. Does that, logically speaking, the hundreds and thousands of Hanafi scholars, they miss that? The hundreds and thousands of scholars who Hadith miss that? The scholars who were Hanafi that wrote commentaries on Bukhari and Muslim, in which those Hadith are in that compilation, they miss that? They don't know that? So surely they knew the Hadith more than you and I. And surely there must have been something else in their opinion which is a stronger proof, because they're from the Quran and Sunnah as well, that in their ijtihad, not raising is a stronger opinion. That's what we say. They couldn't know what they missed it. They didn't know it. Some of the greatest scholars of the commentaries on Hadith, some of them are written by the Hadith scholars. But they didn't know that. They didn't know they missed the Hadith. They knew it. So why did they not take it into consideration? Because they were bigoted in the Hadith school? No. These people are bigoted in their sect. These are great scholars who feared Allah. They wanted to follow the way of the Prophet. And their ijtihad led them to the point that raising the arms and hands is not, the Sunnah is not to. And they're correct. And the way of the Madhahib recognizes this difference of opinion. When you study fiqh in a madhab, you are taught there's other opinions. Step outside of the four schools or bypass the four schools. What do you get? Rigidness. This is the right way, and that's wrong. So when you study fiqh, you become inclusive. When you don't study fiqh, you only study means the Quran and the Sunnah according to one Sheikh, as opposed to the Quran and the Sunnah to thousands upon thousands of scholars over 1,000 years. We get a richness and diversity that is absent when people just want to follow ijtihad of one Sheikh or one or two Sheikhs. Illogical. Anything else? Follow.
Why does knowledge around Islam only revolve around these four madhabs? Like, why is it only Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, and these people?
I did a whole lecture on this, inshallah, semester 1. Please go back and listen to them. The lecture slide has been, and mashallah, everything is in that lecture. Three lectures. And I recommend reading on it as well. Everything is there. Inshallah. But how you just woke up?
So you say that it's on the Instagram, all the videos on the real section on the Instagram.
And the slides.
The slides are around.
You got a haircut? I made a comment about his, everyone had a fresh haircut except him. He had loyalty to his barber.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah. Woke you up?
Professor, can I ask you one last question?
Not professor.
I mean, sir.
Arguable as well. Even that's arguable. Anyway, talk.
So, for example, you said that you acknowledge, Muslims from other sects outside of the four madhab. So,
Akhwana.
yes. So, for example, in the Shafi'i school of thought, when it comes to inheritance, they don't have something called qasti. Yeah, but then when it comes to the fourth madhab, all of them say that there is qasti. So, how do you see that difference? Do you see that they're deviant, or do you see that there is difference? How do you see that?
كلهم على الحق كلهم على الصواب. All of them are on haq. The formula all on haq. They're all right. Allah has given them an understanding that is different, and all of them are correct. And Allah has في رحمة. لا نبدع ولا نشبك ولا نكفر أحد من ملة الإسلام، لا سيما المذاهب الأربعة كلهم على الحق. علماء, great scholars. Who are we to say they're wrong and they're right? Men hum ومن هم ونحن من نحن. Follow any one of the four madhahib and you are rightly guided. Any school you want. 4 madhab, right?
You're saying it's 4. What about the other ones which are outside of 4?
Okay, what do you mean by specifically?
I'm giving you an example. The Jafari school talk.
That's one of the 4.
Huh?
That's one of the 4.
The 4 is Hanafi, Hanbali.
Maliki Shafi.
Maliki Shafi. والجعفري.
Okay, like, we are talking about Sunni Islam. Sunni Islam is the 4. As for the madhab, there's not 8 madhab. If you look at Ismail, Zane, Ja'fari, كثير Zaydiyya. There are madhab that are valid, but they're not Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Look back at the slides, I mentioned that in the slides, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah are categorized the 4 schools, and in Aqidah we mentioned. Now, I did mention that there were schools. There was a declaration about 8 years ago. Azhar was the one. I think Azhar University. In Jordan. You had the declaration. Sheikh Abdo. You have this whole thing where you can say, there's 8 madhab that exist. And as long as you follow one of them, then you're still a Muslim. It was in response to takfir, making takfir of people. But we are specifically focusing on the Sunni tradition, not because everyone's Sunni. I hope.
You didn't answer my question. I said that I give you an example. Okay, for example, the Jafaris, they say they have this religious opinion, and the Sunnis from the 4 schools of thought have this specific opinion. So they're kind of different from the 4 schools of thought. So how do you see that difference? Do you see it as deviation, or how do you see that difference?
If it's in fiqh,
Yes.
you ask a faqih. Ask a faqih. I'm not that level to say that you got it wrong. Ask a faqih. واحترام يعني ما أنا أحكم عليهم.
So you're about one, guys?
Yeah, just about finished.
All right, great. All right.
Thank you very much. All right, inshallah.